It's funny because I had to defend him twice in college when he was at Penn State. He's really a good player. When I was at Temple, we recruited him too. His girlfriend actually played, I think it was lacrosse or something at Temple. So he'd come around a lot. But he's a great guy and really a good player. He's really explosive. He has really good size. He can catch the football. He's really a good player. It was sad to see him get hurt a year ago, but it looks like he's back to being healthy.
I was going to say, he looked like a young man you defended in college.
Yeah, I mean, he looks healthy right now. He's jump cutting, and he's a good player.
Did you employ the girlfriend to help in your recruiting effort?
We did, but it didn't work. Penn State had too much power over there.
Obviously, Matt Rule came up here and told us, 18 missed tackles, 100+ yards after contact. What are the coaching points after a week like that?
Well, I think everybody looked at the tape and said, we were in a lot of good positions and we didn't tackle very well in the game. And you can't do that against Chubbs. He's really good, and 27, the other back's really good. So we just got to get back to basics, which we have this week, and reset. But we have our hands full with, Barkley. Barkley, the thing that's scary about him is he can make 60 and 70-yard plays. Chubbs makes a lot of 6 to 20-yard plays, right? But Barkley can go 70 on you in a hurry. So, you've got to really be detailed and demanding in what we do and our angles and tackling with Barkley.
You say go back to basics. What are the basics? When you're talking about not tackling well, how do you fix that?
Well, some are angles that, you got to trust each other and run the right angles. And then, some of it, too, is the back, right? Chubbs is hard to tackle, right? If you don't hit him square, it's hard to bring him down. And he really ran well in our game. He's healthy. And so some of it was him, and then some of it was us. We're leaving our feet, not grabbing when we tackle. And so I think if we play a little bit harder, we'll get more people there. So it doesn't, the missed tackle doesn't hurt you as much. So there's a combination of a lot of things.
When defending against the Browns' run game, in my assessment, you saw a lot of power. Watching the New York tape, you see power as well, pin pull. Oh. Are there ways to take what you did last week, obviously refine the fundamentals, but apply it identically to what you're going to do this week?
Yeah, there is. Their pin pull's a little bit different than Cleveland, how they run it. It's more downhill. And Cleveland was a little bit more outside, but it's they're real similar. The run games are real similar. And the backs are really good. So, they're hard to stop. I mean, the Titans play good defense and they ran for 238 yards. They're hard to stop. The thing you can't do is let them control the game with it and hopefully you limit. But they're going to make some yards running. They're really good at what they do.
Talking to some of the players, they said the biggest thing was angles. I mean, do you agree with that that's the biggest thing?
Yeah, I didn't think we played as hard as we've played either. So it's the angles and then getting more people there on contact. I think will really help us in this football game.
Does that correlate with the starters not playing a whole lot during the preseason?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that happened. We played 81 snaps, recorded 74 because of penalty. It was hot. And so I think there was other factors, right? But those are really excuses to me. You got to play at one standard, and we'll get back to that this week.
Is there anyone, Phil, maybe I'm thinking of Anderson, that you might try to get more involved this week? I know he played some in the opener, but is he a guy that, or anybody else that could help in that run game?
Yeah, the Giants employed different personnel groups than Cleveland did. Cleveland went a lot bigger. They have, and now the Giants could do that to us, but they haven't. They've been more in 11 personnel. So it's kind of a different style. So which puts pressure on you because they can run and throw out of that group, right? So a little bit different in who we're playing this week than Cleveland.
That would affect, I guess, what you're saying, who you would have on the field.
Exactly. Yep.
Bill, what do you say, or what are your thoughts, or what do you tell your players on the hit that Brian had on the last possession there that turned out to be a really big penalty? And what were your thoughts on it, and what do you tell the players, I guess?
You know what? I've never said anything negative about officials. You know, the game's really hard for everybody. And to officiate those big athletes playing against each other, how fast they move. And so, I mean, he called it, and you just live with the penalty, right? It's just part of the game. Now, there are other plays we could have won the game, you know. So, you know, we could have executed better after that and won the game. So, you know, I'm not into, well, the official lost the game and all that. We haven't even talked about that, to be honest with you. I never said one word to the defense about that penalty. We just don't operate that way. We control our destiny, not the officials. So they're going to have good and bad calls just like we do as coaches and players, and it's part of the game.
There was a bit of difficulty getting off the field on third downs. Was that something that you focused on with the guys this week?
Yeah, that really hurt us in the game because we knew going in you can't give these guys extra possessions. The ones that hurt us were the 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, and 3rd and 10. You know, the 3rd and 3 you're going to give up because of the running back, the style they play. But the longer yardages we can't give up. And it'll be the same way this week. You just can't do that. If you do, you give them more opportunity to run the football. And you know, Barkley's too good. You want to limit his touches.
What
You've been
was
a part
your
of changing cultures at Temple and Baylor with Matt. This team's now lost 2 5-win seasons and now lost 8 in a row. What's the key to changing that culture where that losing doesn't become contagious almost?
You know, I just had a completely different feel this last game than the last 2 seasons. You know, we were competitive. We were down. We came back. We were competitive. We just lost a close game, you know, the opener. So, you know, I think we're fine. We just got to continue to do what we're doing and just keep battling. You know, there were a lot of teams last year that were, you know, 2 and 3, 2 and 5, and made playoffs, right? So you just, in this league, you just got to keep battling every week and improve. And that's what we need to do. And not worry about winning and losing. If we take care of ourselves and then let the chips fall where they fall.
What was your assessment of the pass rush last week?
Not as good as it needs to be. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with them, too. They max protected a lot against us, which means they kept their tight end and back end and chipped a lot, right? So they weren't going to let our ends do anything. And we got a lot of that last year. We just got to be better at it. But we need more pressure on the quarterback than we had last week.
How much of that were they sort of rolling or sliding toward Burns?
Well, Burns is going to get 2 people on him every 3rd down or drop back pass. That's just the way it's going to be. Nobody's going to let Brian sack the quarterback. So we spent a lot of time talking to him more about that this week, and we've got to have a good plan for him. But they're not going to let Brian control the game. They're just not going to do it.
How do you counter that?
Well, there's ways to do it. You can run pass rush moves to where he's getting chipped, and there's different ways of doing it. But he's got to fight through the chip. It's no different than all the great rushers in this league all get chipped. You just got to keep battling through it, and you'll come up with your 1 or 2 sacks a game if you do that.
Did you see any of the growth you're looking for in your tour at all?
You know, he did fine. He had some really good plays, but he's got to consistently keep, you know, working at it and play better for us. Yep.
Taking some of that pressure off of Brian.
I don't think it'll matter. They'll find a way to get 2 hats on Brian no matter what we do. That's just the way it is. They're not, you know, he's one of the elite pass rushers in the league, and people just don't single him very often, you know.
Following up on your 81 snaps played comment, what's the ideal number, like 65-ish?
Okay, so normally the average NFL game is 68 plays. That's what the average game is. So we played, you know, and so you got to take that into account on how you practice this week. Like yesterday, we practiced differently than the offense because they had 51. So we just got to be smart. It's a long season, and we got to keep these guys fresh.
What's balance with JC? You want him to stay aggressive, but you don't want him to hold. I mean, how are you working with that?
You know, I think JC was really anxious to play in this game, you know, after being hurt in the middle of the third game. So I think he was just really amped up and ready to go, right? I think as he settles in now, he didn't play much in the preseason, right? So I think you'll see him really settle in and you won't see those penalties.
Kadarius Toney, an explosive player for them, obviously, only played 7 snaps, but had 2 touches in those. How do you prepare for a guy who doesn't put much on tape, but you are aware of his ability?
Well, we just got to be aware of where he's at, right? And when he's in the football game. So, you know, we've talked about that. And how much he plays, we don't dictate, but when he's there, we have to be aware of him.
And then Barkley only had 2 negative runs. What does that tell you about their scheme, their ability, when you hear that statistic?
Well, one of the things he does when he squares his shoulders to the line of scrimmage, he is hard to bring down. He's going to get 2 yards. The key to stopping great tailbacks is make them go east and west, you know, sideways. And that's why a lot of their runs, and that's why I said that Penn and Pool's different than Cleveland, they are vertically downhill so that he can square his shoulders, and that's why they're not having negative runs. They do a nice job with that.
We haven't talked about Daniel Jones. Just what does he bring to, or how do you prepare for him compared to last week's plan, as we've been talking about the similarities in their run game?
It's funny because I defended him in college too, and then last year. I really think Daniel's really a good athlete. Last year he hurt us on a double reverse pass, and he caught the ball one-handed. I don't know if you guys remember that. Hell of a catch. And he hurt us running the football 2 critical third downs. So you know, his big thing is he's turned the ball over. So I'm sure they don't want him to do that. And when he doesn't do that, they play really well. So, you know, that'll be the key is, you know, we didn't get any turnovers last week. And you know, you got to get turnovers in this league.
Oversimplistic question here, but when you call a blitz, what are the keys that need to be executed in order for that blitz to be executed to arrive?
Well, every blitz has details to get a guy free. You might be picking somebody. There's different ways to blitz and what you're trying to do. Each blitz has its own kind of personality. And so the details of that blitz have to be executed. If they're not, then they pick it up. Or they may do a protection into that blitz that picks up the blitz sometimes. It's a guessing game. So there's a lot of things that go into making a blitz right. And so, and last week we were okay with our blitzes. We weren't real crisp with them, and I'm hoping that this week that'll change. Yep.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate
You
it.
bet.
Thank you.
Thank you. You bet. Have a great day, guys.